Telling him not to counter punch.
Every day, our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics.
Nobody's ambition is what's the blood.
I have fought
from the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara. We bring honest pop news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
Telling him not to counter punch.
If you're just joining us, it's Sports Talk here on Atlantic Television Network, and I have Emmanuel Michael joins as usual on the show today.
Yeah, good morning, Temple, and good morning to our viewers out there.
Well, we'll start with athletics this morning. We are the board of the Athletics Federation of Nigeria has again said that it is not undermining the Salah Day celebration in the country following a clash in date with the national trials to select the nation's athletes for both the African Senior Championship in Douala, Cameroon, and the Paris Olympic. It looks like there is a tug of war on the date selected for this both program.
Yeah, you know, the Muslim, confraternity, they actually pointed accusing finger against the Athletic Federation of Nigeria regarding the date that they've actually chosen for, the the Confederation of African Athletes Championship that is built at Douala, out there in Cameroon, to select, the qualifiers for the Paris Olympic game. And the date actually coincided with the Muslim, celebration. So they thought maybe the Athletic Federation is trying to ignore the existence or the, offend the sensibility of Muslim celebration as well. So, and that is why the Athletic Federation of Nigeria deemed it necessary to come out plain to explain the reason why it looked as though the dates that coincided with the Muslim celebration with that of the Athletic Federation preparation to take part in the Olympic qualifier out there in Douala. But then again, it wasn't actually totally their own fault, talking about the Athletic Federation, because they had fixed 26 or 28th of July for the preparation of that very one. But unfortunately, the Confederation of African Athletics had to also revert their own date back to 21 to 22. So and that is why the Athletic Federation of Nigeria had to also change and make a change in plan by choosing 16 and 18th of July, which actually coincided with the Muslim celebration. So I think totally it wasn't the fault of the Athletic Federation. That is basically what the Athletic Federation is trying to tell the Muslim community out there, that it wasn't just that they are trying to ignore the celebration of the Muslim confraternity, but just that the needful has to be done. Hence, the Confederation of African Athletics had to revert their own dates. They also need to also change their own date to suit with the timing of that event. So, for me, generally, I think it's a matter of the Athletic Federation, giving out the information, the reason why, and it lets for the Muslim, faithful as well to understand the reason that it wasn't deliberate. It's not more like maybe they are trying to ignore the existence of the Muslim celebration and all of that.
Of course, we hope that the Athletic Federation of Nigeria will, in no time, look deeply into some of these things so that they can blend it. Because I mean, it's difficult. Some of the Muslim faithfuls are very, very concerned when it comes to. I mean, it's not worth it fixing a program between break, because it can really hamper preparation. And I think that that intentional attitude must be carried out, because if there is a holiday like yesterday. Yeah. The moment they know that a Muslim Salah day is coming, some Muslim faithfuls are already geared up, to what they want to do. So, just maybe that could also be the problem. But I think that is a problem. A holiday is a holiday. You set down in the camp already. Otherwise, for me, I think that the Athletic Federation of Nigeria can still look back and reject the system.
It's very impossible to reject the system. Because looking at the calendar of the Confederation of African Athletics. If they have chosen 21st to 22nd as a date for the program, you don't actually expect the Athletic Federation to go back and reject their own system, and that is why they had to pick 16 and 18 so that it enabled them for preparation. Then most of the athletes will be in camp, but then the Athletic Federation have also made preparation to get drinks, buy cow and the rest of edibles out there to help some of the Muslim people that will be in camp as well, so to also celebrate the Muslim feast out there. So I think for me, just the distortion of this arrangement has to be that of the Confederation of African Athletics. That is the one, that is the person or the body that is responsible for this change in plan from the Athletic Federation. So I think as it stands right now, the Muslim faithful should just see reasons, because it wasn't deliberate. Of course, that is not the date that the Athletic Federation of Nigeria has chosen, because they know it was going to hamper the celebration of Muslims, and that is why they shifted it to 26 to 28. But then the apex body had to make a revert back to 21st to 22nd of July, meaning that the Athletic Federation of Nigeria had to align its calendar and also preparation towards that of the apex body. So, but then they are not ignorant of the fact that Muslim faithful need to celebrate, and that is why they have provided cow, food, and drinks as well in the camp as well for Muslim faithful to also join in the celebration.
Provision of all that is necessary to keep the Muslim faithfuls ahead of the big one that is coming up soon. But let's see how it all pans out, and I can tell you for sure that it is going to be a roller coaster ride for those in the camp in preparation for the African Championship in Douala, Cameroon, as well as the Paris Olympic Games trial. So let's see what comes next. But away from that now, let's talk cricket, where the Nigerian Cricket Federation has, in its mandate to revive and continue to blossom the growth of cricket in Nigeria, completed a 3-day special intervention program aimed at helping those that are internally displaced, in the camp of Maiduguri, Borno State, where they introduced the game to children and adults in the camps. If you go to Borno State and the area ravaged by Boko Haram terrorism, you see that it's an avenue. Go to those camps, because there's nowhere that talent cannot be discovered. So I think that part of this development is to see how far they can, apart from giving them relief, materials and food, also to see how far they can introduce those games to them, because there are children in that camp that can be nurtured and talent that can be developed. So it's good that Oyi Apata and his team, they're going into areas that you cannot imagine. And for me, it is beautiful. By the time they do it, for 1 quarter, 1 year, continuously, you can see that some talents can be discovered from there, which can even So it's for me, it's a good idea getting to see cricket taking cricket to communities where it's not just about, you don't expect things like this to be, but trying to get talent from that is lovely for me, and I think that is what commendable.
Yeah, I think Uyi Akpata, the president of the federation, is doing his bit to ensure that at least those at the internally displaced camp, the IDPs, they also take part in sport as well, because despite the fact they have been, caged because of the volatile region or situation they find themselves due to the Boko Haram ravage and all of that, I think it's also necessary for them to, take part in sporting activity, because it also helps them as well to discover their talent, despite the fact that they are not in an environment where they should have been to rightfully express their God-given talent. But then, the president of the federation is also in tandem with their aim and aspiration of trying to give some of the person out there in the IDP camp that opportunity, that platform to also discover their own talent as well. And also it is in line with the fulfillment that he made some time ago, that he was going to donate some kits, some equipment and materials for the IDP, the internally displaced person to be part of it. So it is one of the mandate that he has also fulfilled by taking some equipment, some materials and all of that down there, and to also encourage some of them that have the innate talent to also make sure that they are not forgotten, they are also being carried along in the scheme of things in terms of sport generally. So I think it's a nice one if we can continue to keep an eye on them, not just coming once in a while to donate sporting material, but how well are they able to follow up with that program to ensure that the aim and purpose of such a event is actualized. And what are the aims? The aim is to at least unearth one or two talent from the IDP camps out there that will go further to at least represent the country's international stage. So for me, I think it's a nice idea.
Nice idea indeed, and let's hope that if other federations, like you said, have been queuing into doing this, I can tell you, if you take it as one of your one point agenda, in your tenure, to say, okay, let's also reach out, because sometimes it's not about giving these people food.
Yeah.
It's about, okay, what can we do now at this point? Because some of them, in fact, in some of the relief camps, they've gone to the extent of building schools with this Muslim community, building schools there, so that just as they're building schools too, you can also have a form of academy where you can nurture talent, because at that point, some of these young ones are not exposed to any other area of sports than the one you give to them. So it's good that they're taking it by the bull by the horn, and let's see if other federations can learn from it. Not just about cricket alone. I think cricket is just one of those things. There are children in that camp, or even young teenagers who are desirous of embarking into sports. Even those who are good in academics, there are people who feel that, okay, I have this talent, let me be exposed. But if the thing comes to them, it becomes easier. And I think that other federations should queue in. It's a matter of being very intentional about the approach. But let's move away from cricket and let's talk tennis, as Team Nigeria continues to prepare highly for the Billie Jean competition, and they will be slugging it out with South Africa as well as Kenya for a chance to qualify for the World Group 2 of the Billie Jean. And you know that when you qualify, the hope of participating with the big names in the world is very likely, because the Billie Jean competition is now exposed to Africa, and which makes it very easy for us to, as a continent, also showcase our talent. So the thing is, can we get past the Kenyans and the South Africans, to pick a ticket in years to come?
Yeah, I think we can. We have the talent here. It's just a matter of proper preparation and planning to get the job done. And we have what it takes to upstage teams like the Kenyans, South Africans as well, because they are not that familiar or popular with the sport itself, just like Nigeria is as well. But then I think we'll have a little bit of edge over them. If you were to be the Tunisians, I would say, okay, at least they are more ahead of us. But taking a look at countries like Kenya, South Africa, these are not areas of their own comparative advantage as well, just like Nigeria. But then I think with the spirit of Nigeria in us, I believe we have what it takes to at least get the ticket, so that at least it help to give you know, some of our players here that opportunity. If they get to pick the ticket, they stand the opportunity of at least sharing the same court with some of the big names in terms of world tennis out there. And by doing so, entails that they are going to get more exposure, they are going to get more experience, going to learn more about the game itself, and it also helps them to improve as well.
Help them to improve, and of course, I will see how that goes. And just like we have tennis activities running, I feel that because of this opportunity given to Africa, we need to have the likes of Quadre, who has been doing very well, Oyilo Molo. This is some of the young lads, you know. I have said it before, and I will continue to say it, that you cannot have no sports can flourish when you do not have a planned program for them. I think that tennis, because the table tennis we are doing itself is because the federations are active. And it takes nothing for a federation to be active. What it takes to be active is for you to just have, you have, every federation have, every sport federation have a chunk of budget from the Ministry of Sports. Even those who do not have budget, so to say, you can still look out for private investors that can, you know, see what can be done. If you start it really on a regional basis, you can start, partnering. For example, if the Long Tennis Association Federation partners with the with Uniport, you know, to see how they can develop talent. Before you know it, 1 year program, 2 year program, the likes of Quadri, these ones that are here today representing us, they came from somewhere. University of Lagos, you know, these are areas you can partner with and then start to board the talent. And for me, I think that part of the problem we've had is that we have not been very intentional about it. But like we've seen now, it's about organizing program for them, and so that they can not playing today and the next time they play is maybe in 6 months' time, or maybe it's December when they have this yearly. Or I think that it should be about quarterly basis, so that these ones will be active. Because when they train on their own, it's different from when they train as a group. Yeah. And someone said this some time ago that part of the problem is that athletes are given the opportunity to always train on their own. So whatever they do, whatever they want, they eat whatever they want, and they do not synchronize with the system. And that's part of the challenge. And I think that with this Billie Jean competition now, this can be an ample opportunity where we can even solve some of these challenges that have been noticed.
Definitely. I think you've just said it, or you've actually hit the nail on the head. But then it behoves on the body as well that are in charge to also do the needful. If they deem it necessary that indeed this is a sport that we want to make a mark, I think they should be thinking outside of the box. These are things that are very key. These are basic things that they should do as a body. Because as you have been entrusted in the position of a trust with the responsibility to ensure that there is a total overhaul, there is a total change of the narrative. This is a sport that is relatively unknown, it's not that popular, but then if you put the right people at the right position, they will think outside the box, and that will entail that they need to start organizing competition that will keep most of these athletes very active on the court. And when you do so, there is no how you tell me that you are going to organize quarterly or yearly or annually or regional competitions every now and then, that you cannot be able to pick at most 5 solid players per year. There is no how. If you organize a regional competition, aggregate or assemble all of these athletes and organize a hefty competition that will bring out the best in them. There is no how you tell me that we can't get about 5 solid players that at least will square up with the likes of the Onjoba of Africa. Let's start here. It's just about deliberate plan and the intention, the willingness, the political will as well to do the needful. But most times, people that we entrust in the position of authority, they just want to do their things in their own way, and they're expecting a different result, which for me, I describe as insane. You cannot be doing the same thing and expecting a different result. It doesn't work out that way.
And I was privileged to speak with one of the federation presidents some time ago, back then, during the COVID. And I asked him, why is it difficult for us to have, more talents develop and also showcase to the world in these individual sports? And you know what he said? He said that some of these talents, like in the Western world, some of the talents are sponsored by their parents, sponsored by their world. Now here, you cannot spend so much on an individual, and when the benefit comes, he or she, turns around, forgets even the federation, and, on his personal self. And I asked him, what about the athletes that are representing Nigeria? I did not see personal? I mean, is there not a single sport? So, and he said that I mean, we argued deeply that day on air, and he was able to express that part of the problem is that our athletes are not graceful enough. You know, you spend so much, and at the end of the day, when they get to the limelight, they will forget the system that even brought them to the limelight, and that's why you see that it's always difficult for them to, you know, get sponsorship for them, you know, to develop them to the level that they want. I mean, but I feel that regardless of the excuse that he was saying, I feel that that was not enough compared to the talent that we can get. You know, if you think that massive personal sponsorship, family sponsorship emanates from those in the Western world, we can also start something like that here, because this is not the same climate, it's not the same environment, and it can never be.
I think those kind of excuses for me doesn't hold water. It's not tenable. If that is the reason why you don't want the development and improvement of that sport in that sector, I think it's quite embarrassing.
It is.
Very shameful for him to come on air and make such a demeaning statement. I think for me it's the height of ignorance of what the sport is all about, because even if it is a personal sport and you say that maybe if the federation invests so much on an individual to make the individual become the creme de la creme in terms of such sport, that they are going to forget the federation. I mean, that is very, very childish for me. They need to start thinking of better ideas and not about you know, a self-centered idea and a demonic thought, for that matter, that if the federation sponsors an individual and when the person hit the peak is going to forget the federation. I mean, if the person get to win laurels, is it for his personal gain? It's for the gain of the country, and
True.
it's also putting the country on the world map.
True.
If we have to develop any new long tennis players out there that goes out there, maybe possibly the French Open or the Roland Garros or possibly the US Open or Wimbledon, and goes out there to win it, is that person going to take the glory for him or herself? Is it not for the glory of the country?
Of course.
So when you begin to make those kind of allusions, I think I'm quite disappointed, to say the least. But then the needful has to be done, which is that we must find a way to start developing our young athletes here, because we have them cut across every angle. Give them the opportunity, give them the platform, set the pace for them so that they will ride on it and make the country proud. Forget about self-centered interest that if the person goes out there to make it big, he's going to forget the federation. The federation itself have a way of also recouping back from
True.
what such a
Like in the athletics
brings to the
federation,
table.
there's a way, you know, when you go out for there are athletics events that you participate as a group.
Yes.
So there is this internal discussion, whatever you get from here, like when Toby Amoshon won the 70 million, 70,000, is it 70,000 US dollars?
Yeah.
You know, that amounted to millions of naira in her, when she broke that record. You know, there's the chunk of money comes, there's a share, that's the way it's done. So such can be done. You know, if you get to the level, even Aruna Quadri, if he wins the title, there's an agreement that some money will come back to the federation, and that's how it should be. Even in football, when FIFA does that money to or CAF, you know, there are some that goes directly because the athlete come from a federation.
Yes.
And I think that that should not. I mean, this should be looked into properly if we must really get to that level.
The athletic federation, the tennis federation, the football federation, they have annual serve as the apex, maybe like the center. They have different organs which are the federating units that make up this organization. So whenever any fund is being distributed, it must go around to each federation, so long as Nigeria is part and parcel of that federation. There is no how the tennis federation of the world will send or disburse their fund to each organ of the federation without Nigeria being included. It's more like saying that FIFA is going to disburse funds for its member country and Nigeria is left aside.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't work out that way. That is why I say that, I mean, I think he needs to be properly educated on the gains of what the way these things is being done, because he can't be, you know, thinking of such a, you know, I mean, an archaic way. There's no how you tell me that the Football Federation of the World, talking about FIFA, is going to disburse funds to each member nation, and Nigeria is part of the federating unit that makes up FIFA, and FIFA will just encircle the name of Nigeria out of it and say they are not part and parcel of it. No, so it cut across all sporting federation that whenever each member unit, any fund is being disbursed to them, it goes round, and in equal basis for that matter. So for me, I think we need to start thinking better things on how to make our athletes more competitive, how to at least make them to get to the apex where we begin to hear their names as one of the best in the world, because it brings glory, it brings joy, it brings a whole lot of financial input as well into the pulse of the federation. So this is the line we should be thinking about, and not the line of that if any federation sponsors an individual, it goes out there and make the money for himself and forget about the federation.
All right, away from that, let's talk about what is happening in the Western world. Still in tennis, where defending champion Catapulta reached the third round of the Nottingham Open with an emphatic victory, that assured her that win against her Canadian qualifier Rebecca Marino. This is a very good one for when you hear a British doing so well. The news is everywhere. Yeah. But then somehow it's difficult for them to maintain the pace. But it's good for Katie Boulter.
Yeah, good for him. But it's just that the British, whenever you expect so much from them, especially when it has to do with tennis, they just force your hand. I mean, they just doesn't live up to that high height for me. But then good a thing. I think this one is a competition they are trying to use as a warm-up game, or it's a build-up towards the Wimbledon, which most of their players out there is also working hard to perfect their plans, also improve on their games and all of that, so that they give a good account of themselves in the Wimbledon. So I think it's a good one to see that Katie Butler and some other British players as well is beginning to live up to the expectation. But how far, how long can they maintain this momentum? This rise in status, this rise in performance is a big question that they also need to answer in a few months' time when the Wimbledon officially kicks off. Well,
the Wimbledon officially kicks off, that needs to be very answered. And with that now, we'll go on a quick break. When we'll come back, we'll talk more of other sports, and then we'll focus on football matters. This is Sports Talk on Atlantic Television Network.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
Telling him not to counterpunch. Telling him not to counterpunch.
Every day, our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics,
Nobody's ambition is what's the blood.
I have fought very firmly.
natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody, and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today. Only on ATN.
Telling him not to counterpunch. Telling him not to counterpunch.
Every day, our lives are changed by history,
We are one people. All of us.
leaders, politics,
Nobody's ambition is what's the blood.
I have fought a very family.
natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody, and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
People into the country illegally. That is amazing.
Honorable
You human
on the point of order.
Honorable
On the point of
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today. Only on ATN.
All right, welcome back from that break. If you're just joining us, still Sports Talk here, and of course, is the second phase of the show, and we'll talk a bit of tennis before we move to football now. This time, it looks like preparations are also getting up in other climes as the Spanish Olympic Federation or the Spanish, Olympic Committee have named the big names like Carlos Alcaraz and Rafael Nadal to be part of the Olympic team. For Rafael Nadal, this might just be his last show in the Olympic because, but I think that the other young stars would have been given opportunity. But if the federation thinks that it's part of the way to honor him, then so be it.
Yeah, I think that is just the main point here. By including Rafael Nadal in the Olympic contingent, I think they just want to give him the last honor. At 38, you expect him to be winding down his career right now, and that is why he's not making any impact right now because of the age and injury concern as well. He has tried so many times to build back that confidence, to build back that momentum, to build back and get back to his A game, but it wasn't to be, as injury have continued to hamper his progress and development since he came back on board. But I just think it's a way of the French authority trying to honor him for the last time before he take a bow from the stage, from the sport that have brought fame and popularity to him. And then again, maybe because of the big name factor that other players, maybe if they want to come up against Rafael Nadal, hearing the name alone will serve as a scare to them, and that is why they've decided to include him. Of course, it would have been very, very sad if he was not included, looking at the laurels and the honor that he has brought to the French Tennis Federation. Then again, one man you can't actually forget is Carlos Alcaraz. At this young age, he's doing massive things. I think he should be the poster boy for the squad, for the French contingent, looking at what it is, having just won the Roland Garros in the same court, and this is the same court that the competition will be taking place. So it's more of on the advantage side because he's very familiar with that court where he just won his Roland Garros last week. So for me, I think it's a great one for the French contingent.
Great one for the French contingent, and of course, moving away from that, we'll talk football matters now, where we saw match the 36, came alive across various centers in the Nigeria Premier Football League yesterday, where we also saw Rivers United fell to the firepower of Bende Insurance there. And it took some magical display from Bende Insurance. In that game, we still had a lot of stoppage, but somehow it ended in favor of Bende Insurance. Rivers United once again failing to pick a point away from home.
Not a good one, not a cheering one. Rivers United, they are finishing the season on a very low note. Looking at the chances they had even before now, they had about 6 games that were, suspended because of their participation in the continental game. But then when they came back and the league resumed and 1 month break was given to other clubs so as to help Rivers United to also finish some of these outstanding games. But they could not even get the better of some of those outstanding games, at a point where they were contending for the league, because if they had won 5 or maybe all of those outstanding games, they should have been contending for the league title, but then it wasn't a good performance for them. They're not also forgetting the sack of Stanley Eguma as well. Maybe you might say that has also affected them as well. But then it is what it is, that Rivers United have not been able to replicate a fine form. Looking at the way they started the season and looking at their pedigree in the league, you expect them at least to be up there fighting for continental ticket. But as it stands right now, I think they're out of it. They should have used the President Federation's Cup as a route to get to the continental spot, but they also were knocked out at the Confederation Cup. And it leaves Rivers United in a very big dilemma if they are actually going to qualify for the continental spot, which for me it is out of reach right now as it stands because of their dismal display. It's been a very tough and a torrid season for Rivers United.
And as you look at the way this is going now, we now know clearly that the title chase is between Enugu Rangers and the Imba Football Club. But we saw the result yesterday, Imba Football Club losing, drawing that game against Bayelsa United at home, ensuring that Bayelsa United will continue to struggle to get out from the relegation waters. And then Enugu Rangers traveling away to Ibadan and losing that particular game. The dynamics, if they had won, they would have covered up for the point that they lost away. That was taken away from them. So, how do you see these two results from the two centers?
I think it's quite a disappointing one for first for Enyimba, because I thought maybe after the 3 points and 3 goals was awarded to Enugu Rangers, they should have been able to make sure they pick all 3 points so as to close in the gap against Enugu Rangers. But that was not to be, as they failed to live up to that expectation. They got a 1-1 draw. Even at the time when they took the lead first, at 26 minutes, they already 1 goal. I thought it was going to be a rain of goal, but it wasn't to be. Our second half could not also help at all, as some of the players could not live up to that high expectation by making sure they take the game to their opponent, finish the game as soon as possible, get all 3 points, and await the result of in Enugu Rangers, because Enyimba played first before Enugu Rangers game, but it wasn't to be. It ended in 1-1 draw. They were able to pick a point. But then, Enugu Rangers on their own part as well, they went away to a very strong side, a Shooting Star, who also is hoping to finish very strong. But in Shooting Star as well, they were able to hold on to their own out there and pull the string. Got a 1-goal victory, 3 points for them. Because of that victory, they are seated in the 7th position as a star right now. So I think it makes it even more competitive, having 2 games to play before the end of the season, and these 2 teams are jostling to see who, at least that is being crowned a champion. I think it's going to be a nice one. And for Enugu Rangers, I think I just have soft spot for them, because it took them almost 30 years before they won their last league, before they also did so in 2016. It is 8 years down the line right now, where they also won the league, and you expect them to build on this game. You see, this Enugu Rangers side, they are a traditional team here in Africa. Don't forget, let me just take us a little bit back. In the 1980 Nations Cup, where Nigeria won their first African Cup of Nations, the bulk of the Green Eagles player, as it were then called, were made up of 7 good players from Enugu Rangers, 5 players from Shooting Stars, and 2 players from maybe the Middle Belt region, which is Bright or Mokaro, and the other guy, I'm trying to remember his name. So Enugu Rangers, the bulk of the team that won the African Cup of Nations first for the Green Eagles, or now called Super Eagles, most of the players there were players made up or produced from Enugu Rangers. Like I said earlier, 7 of them made up that squad, and 5 came up from the Shooting Stars. So Enugu Rangers is this traditional team that you cannot take away what they have brought to the league, what they have contributed in terms of football development here in the country, in terms of their quota addition to the Super Eagles. Then be up there. So I expect Enugu Rangers to hold on to this lead, though you may say that it's not much again, but even a point can win you a league. Sure. Just 2 games to go. So I believe that Enugu Rangers, their next match is going to be at home, and I know they will also want to take advantage of that by getting all 3 points. But I stand right now, this is what we want to see in the league, where we see this last-minute battle to see who wins the league. It's not more like before, where you have about before 5 games to go, you've already known the winner. It is more like the English Premier League that is going down to the wire, and we are very happy for this level of improvements.
Very happy for the level of improvement, and the other result we saw, Kwara United defeated Kano Pillars 2-0. Niger Tornadoes were 3-2 better than Lobby Stars. We saw Gombe United lost to Avia Warriors at home. Gombe United this is their worst season in their history. And of course, we also saw Sporting Lagos defeated in Lagos, by Plateau United. And Tracy, we talk about that one, lost to defeated Enugu Rangers. Not forgetting that Aqua United defeated Katsina United 3-1, at the nest of champions. So these are some of the results. But quickly, time is not our friend here, so let's move straight now to the NNL, where Heartland FC relegates from the MPFL. That one, we talked about that one already by virtue of that game yesterday. Ikorodu City, as well as the likes of Beyond Limits, and they have gained promotion. Not just them alone. They look like they're going to prepare massively for this particular one. For me, I'm very interested in the Ikorodu City. At some point before that game yesterday, I thought that they would not have a chance to qualify, because the 2 Lagos teams, Inter Lagos and Ikorodu United, were down, at the pecking order. But somehow I'm sure they resurrected and they will pick up. Because I want to see football, being played. I want to see some clubs, having time to really, so that Lagos people can really enjoy football. But Ikorodu United finally did it for Team Lagos.
Yeah, I think it's an impressive one for Ikorodu United. They are doing pretty well. If you take a look at some of the teams that have qualified, or some of the teams that is representing, their state out there in the Nigerian Premier Football League, you will discover that the Western, they have much of the team. Lagos alone has already Sporting Lagos, Ikorodu City coming on board as well. So I think it looks as though the Western region, they are doing something very great. Which other region I think need to also take a cue from, because if you take a look at the NPFL League, most of the team out there comes from the Western region, and that is to tell you they have invested, and they are investing a lot in terms of sport development as well. And I want to say a big congratulations to Ikorodu City. Making it to the NPFL is not an easy feat, because you know how difficult the NNL East out there before he could get promotion to the NPFL, to the mainstay of the apex of the Premier Football League here in the country. It's not an easy one, so they have put in a whole lot of work to ensure that they gain promotion. Then again, for the northern region, we have Nasarawa and El Kanemi as well, you know, making it through back to the NPFL. These are names that is very familiar with us because they have been there in the NPFL. They are traditional team. They've also made their mark in terms of the Nigeria Premier Football League, but then circumstances made them to go back to the relegation. The likes of Nasarawa, Economy Warriors, these are familiar names. It's not a strange name in the NPFL. Thank God they are back. Let's hope they have been able to learn a lesson for going to relegation and battle so hard to come back. If they can be able to learn that lesson, correct those errors, I see them, you know, staying afloat in the NPFL. This is now they are back.
Of course, well, that's what we expect, and of course, it's a few days to the I mean, just one more day to the Euros, and I can tell you for sure that massive preparation are already getting up for the Euros. And today, I will take some time to really look at the dynamics in the Euros and review some of the teams when we come back at 6 p.m. this evening for Sports Extraordinary. And not forgetting that we also have to look at the dynamics of the VRO and how the decision will impact some of the games we'll see, and a lot of football matters we'll talk about here. Many thanks to you, Mike, for being part of the conversation today. Let's hope that as the Nigerian Premier Football League, you know, winds down, a lot of jubilations for some clubs, while some will be gnashing their teeth right now. But yeah, Heartland, because for Heartland, I really feel for them. But some will say that they brought their own, what do you call it, yoke upon themselves.
Of course, they are the greatest undoing. They are the nemesis of themselves. They shot themselves on the foot, and that is what you get when you try to mix politics with football, because they had a very bad season. At some point, they were about to make a change where they brought in Kennedy Boboye within the short stint that Kennedy Boboye stayed. He played 7 games, won 3. Lost to draw 1. At that point, at least they were beginning to build up the momentum to get back, at least to battle if they can stay afloat. But all of a sudden, you know, the governor of a state had to, you know, lay him off, relieve him of the appointment. Then again, bringing back Christian Ubi, who have hitherto been a plague to the club, and they continue to churn out, to get bad results. So that is what it is. The reason for the governor's intervention or laying off Kennedy Boboye to bring back someone that is not getting the result is what, for me, calls for questioning. Because we had is a card-carrying member of a certain party, and the wife also a card-carrying member of a certain political party, and because of that, they had to reinstate him back. And when you mix politics with football, definitely you must get into the trouble water. That is what we've seen Cameroon FA is also facing right now. When Paul Biya tried to bring in a coach by himself without the awareness of the chairman of the FA, talking about Samuel Eto'o. So when you try to mix up politics with football, you will definitely not all go well, and that is why Heartland have landed themselves in the relegation water. Of course,
when we come back this evening, we'll also look at that, and we'll also try to see if we can hear live from the Heartland team. Let's have that take on how the feeling of being relegated and what next now for them. Many thanks for being part of the conversation today. Airport Temple is my name. I did the show with Manuel Michael. We'll be back 6 p.m. here for more conversation. Until then, stay locked on the Atlantic Television Network. You have a pleasant day.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending